Hello everyone. Today I would like to talk about the novice's opening into self-mastery. And what that means is that when you try to master others, it is not okay. And it is not okay, not because you are even doing it or because the conditions like that or because that's how life is, because you have not looked at yourself deeply enough to see that you can never master anyone. You can never control anyone. You are simply creating a very intense reality where your confusion and blindness is breaking some things in the room that doesn't need to. But regardless, there's people who clean it up. And the people who clean up, in other words, the energies that cleanse, simply remind. Because the cleansing needs to go to a point where you detach from the mental constructs that have been making you feel as if you need to master the external world. You don't, when I say master the external world, I am not suggesting that it's wrong to control things and be able to handle life properly. I'm suggesting that your intention and attitude is very important in how you handle physicality. If I try to change you without really knowing you, it can be called a crime. However, when I try to change myself, that is when the criminal fades. And so people who are really thinking that true power means external manifestation and its maintenance, well, trust me, the most powerful men you have seen, they have died at some point. And so no one is more powerful than the knowing of the unknown. Self-mastery begins when you allow life to happen and simply through a very released and relaxed and observant awareness, shifting your decisions into more integrated realms. And what that means is that self-mastery takes the external reality and finds that it can only be manifest, and it is only manifest to internal reality. So to ignore internal reality because I want to be comfortable with external reality means man has not yet found the courage to dissolve into himself, to dissolve into existence. And when I say dissolve into existence, it is not any idea that you have even close to the image of the word dissolve, or that image that comes to you. When I say dissolve, it means nothing will even happen here. You will simply see that what was there was always here. And we don't want to have an arrogance that's just only saying that it's just here and now and there's nothing else. Because similarly as I am having an experience of here and now, you're having an experience of here and now. And so it is the person who is using words who in the first place creates a man who can even be convicted. We are such fabulous creators, but if we're constantly creating things and not aware where we're throwing them, we're gonna have a messy room. And, you know, not that you shouldn't have a messy room. I mean, you should have both the ability to completely organize everything in your life and also completely disorganize it. And then you have a freedom not to be pulled by things you have not, you know, paid attention to or have not looked at. And so let me lead this back to self-mastery, because self-mastery begins when you acknowledge a fear, but then you also have the intention to handle the fear. And what does handling fear mean? It means that no one can do anything for you other than you looking at the source of your fear. You confronting the imagery and the archetypes that make you feel as if there's something misplaced. We see that once fear is acknowledged, the novice can no longer see a novice because he has looked within himself to a degree that he sees if he wants to be able, it has to come from him. If the lion needs to roar, it has to stand up and roar. And a roar means, okay, at first you are engaging with thought. Yes, you are engaging with thought. The lion roars, but it roars to align its environment to the sound of its being. And what that means is that it is perfectly okay for you to roar when there is no intention behind it. When it is simply just your natural presence. In other words, anger is not a bad state. Anger is a very intense state. I mean, look at someone who's angry. I've been angry at times and I've just felt like it's like there's an energy that comes through you that's just making you want to act with every single opposition. You know, every single edge of the blade that gets close to your head, you just feel like you want to, fight. But you see that man is a very fragile instrument in the sense that its self-awareness is very peaceful at certain states of being, but as these states of being alter, it goes into different ways, and if it is not self-aware, its maintenance will be different. So what that means is that many people think that there's life after, not that there is life after anything, but just you simply see that what can be done is being done. You see that any living you think you're lacking all originated in you. You are keeping stories of your failures alive. And once you acknowledge them, you can let the story go and carry the beacon that it provides for you. Think of, for a second, the Kung Fu master, as we have seen very interestingly in a lot of movies, but also in ancient times, they had a sense of alignment with existence which added to the knowing of their individuality. And so it would open flows where you would see suddenly the gentle master who has no need to fight. He's just so still in mind. An army, a bunch of people attack him and he hits all of them very gently. And it's as if for the master, the fight is a dance, but for the enemy, for the opposition, they're trying to kill someone. Do you see the intention and the result it leads? A lot of death is simply cause and effect to a degree that you have to confront the things you did not see. So what that means is, if from the beginning of your birth, you have been a multidimensional cause and you've only tuned into one aspect of it, you will eventually see an effect that's as if there were other causes before. It's as if your origin was not from here. And it is because the attention that you have now is teaching you how to be attentive in new ways. And what that means is that you will see what is the greatest teacher but a wondrous mind. Sometimes when I walk around, when you get a sense of comfort with your stillness, once you go through certain internal experiences and you can let go of those internal experiences. What that means is, let's say you have a crazy dream. Let's say you have a crazy experience. Let's say you see something as a clairvoyance. Whatever it is, you must be comfortable to know that you exist alongside a cosmos this vast. What that means is that fear was a concept that has remained too long. It is inefficient, it is unnecessary, and if you want to coin a better word for fear, it would be confrontation. In other words, many people on their route to self-mastery recognize that there is no master and there is no student, and that is a beautiful moment, because you cannot be kept the same way once your experiences intensify. What that means is that if someone comes around you and is having certain range of experiences, and you are going through those experiences also because you're present there, that's the intensity that has come there for you, you know? And some people don't know how to take gifts. The way you look at life is the gift. The way you're aware of all that is the gift. And so Mr. Within's gift never needed to be opened, because it couldn't. It's too infinite. Know yourself well, and you will see greatness find you. And the greatness is gonna first feel like something else. Sometimes you get ambitions to act, and you act, and you're doing the act. Let's say the writer is writing, the speaker is speaking, the painter is painting. And you simply see that ignorance always is self-induced, to the point where there never was ignorance. You will, in your meditative states and your states of self-awareness, sit down and feel ignorant in many ways. And you will soon realize those thoughts are not yours. What that means is that when you sit down to meditate, when you're sitting down and calm and self-reflectively, body is gentle, everything is very comfortable, you realize that those feelings you're getting of, oh, I need to get out of here, there's something else I can do, I'm bored, oh, I need to go do something, oh my God, there's so many thoughts, why am I thinking about this, why am I doing this, you know, what is in line, you know, all this. The mind has noise, and before you can even approach something near the concept of enlightenment, and this is of course my opinion, I mean everyone is an enlightened being in their smiling moments. But the way I'm saying this, I'm saying this to people who will go through this. You will see it's not supposed to be a comfortable route. So when I sit down and I self-reflect, I see, wow, there's so many things I don't like about myself, and it's true. What that means is that the moment that people came to me and said, I can't do something, that was real. I'm not gonna say that wasn't real for me. The times I was scared, the times I had fear, the times I went through experiences where I was incapable, the times where I knew I had a voice but I couldn't find it. Those moments come, and they are not here to be your friends because they're not you. They're not relevant to you after some point. It is like sitting down and there is dust or there is dirt on your suit, and you're wearing a suit. And you just get up and you're like, I know what I'm wearing. I know who I am. Even though the temporal universe playfully and very mysteriously whispers. Have the smoothness of the martial artist whose hands were no longer following structure but were dissolved in the omniscience of the principle. And you will see that the minute you begin dancing, the flow, the feel, the joy of life changes. And mentally you can dance too. The moment you begin moving your ideas, the moment you go look at life and begin giving your own data, your own ideas. In other words, take yourself to the bottom. What that means is that in regards to ideas, think as if you know nothing. And you will have and cultivate such a wondrous mind that you step in a room, your mind's already figured out things, you know? You will see your state of, and you will be joyous, because a smart man knows joy is a state of greater energy. And when I say greater energy, you feel as if you're more energetic. But the greatness is always there. I would like to share a very beautiful poem by Hafiz. And it's a poem that came to me today. And the title of the poem is called What the Hell? And so he says, a man, a very profound mystic from a long time ago. The real love I always keep a secret. All my words are sung outside her window. For when she lets me in, I take 1,000 oaths of silence. But then she says, oh, then God says, what the hell, Hafiz? Why not give the whole world my address? And we see that our polarities guide us to sanctuaries of integrative bliss. And we see that we have no reason to speak. And what that means is that when you first absorb knowledge, you get a feeling of telling everyone, trying to show off the knowledge. But that is a Lord, like, you don't communicate that way. If you have an impulse to do something, just doing it, it needs to be looked at in a way where you see who is really impulsive. Where is it coming from? Always handle yourself with clarity. And we see that Hafiz says, the real love I always keep a secret. And what that means is that the essence of my truth, the love that is from the heart of hearts, is beautifully unknown because you cannot see it in the temporal. And he says, all my words are sung outside her window. And what that means is that you will understand this, the beauty and the playfulness of temporal reality, when you recognize what aspect of you lies in your sense of others. Once you look into your own eyes, not from the mirror that is in your room or in any room, but the mirror of existence, the mirror of life, where all rationalities and irrationalities, all forms, shapes, crumble, collapse. And there comes a wind that reminds you who and what you have always been. And Hafiz may feel outside the window, and he realizes, and poets feel this, you feel such a blissful joy, but you cannot communicate it, and even though words come out, they are never enough. Some poets can never write enough, and their poem will look like an inkling of the ocean of being they have observed in their silence, in their very blissful silence. He goes on to say, for when she lets me in, I take 1,000 oaths of silence. And how I playfully interpret this is that when you reach that moment, immediately think of yourself walking and you're there. You're in that moment where you have confronted every duality, every separate thing that is recorded in your mind. Every image that you have has remained still for a second. And there is an observance emerging within. the present that is now. And you see, you take an oath of silence because you see words are so far from where your state of being dissolves into. And once you dissolve into there, you see you have such an ability to confront reality that you have confronted all the possibilities of everything which you have considered. And not by a thinker, but by an infinity that gives you the awareness to even consider. And so, luminescence always speaks and emanates from within. And so Hafiz may feel, this poet by the way, Hafiz may feel that he will release and let go of all form to dissolve into this formless presence, which is the beloved, let's say, collective consciousness of the cosmos. But something suddenly communicates and says, and so Hafiz says, but then she says, but then right after I'm about to dissolve into this perhaps ecstatic state of omniscience, he says, but then she says, oh, then God says, what the hell, Hafiz? Why not give the whole world my happiness? And what that means is that once you have found a tree filled with fruit, you will understand the value and the beauty of fruitful action, of how some people give in such a compassionate way that the only metaphor that can be used is that they're planting seeds they know they will not be sitting under. Live in such a way that if you were to end today, you would know the beginning that is going to continue. And so, let us all give the address to the whole world. You will see that my voice will serve you if you're someone who is aware that clarity is important. Self-awareness, self-reflection, gifts. Open them and do not stay on them too long. What that means is learn and constantly learn from yourself in a way where every morning you wake up, you can have nothing but new ideas because you've constantly, not constantly, but in a sense, allowed yourself to become observant. This is different than thinking. Self-reflection and sitting in meditative state is very different than thinking. Because thinking is a verb coined in its own realm, termed in its own realm. We don't want to talk in that realm. So what that means is that if I'm communicating an experience that is unspeakable, and you ask me to say it simply, you can say it simply and simply, you will see I can limit the knowledge for you and give you a shape. I could be like, yeah man, here's a toy, here's a sample of it, or I can also roar in front of you and tell you to remember yourself in new ways. Love may seem bittersweet, but it is really not love, because love doesn't have that much of a taste. There's an existential love in which it's just a love for life. And you have such an ecstatic compassion for all life that you simply see where you go, it's as if you're carrying a torch. And so these ideas that flow in your mind have different hues, and different hues do, attract different ideas. But what I find is that if you have a very honest sense of clarity within you, regardless of what anyone says, you just feel like this moment is your moment. When you feel like that, there is an untouched element to your presence that is as natural as the presence of a sequoia tree to a pigeon who wonders what may happen to these seeds that it feeds on. Create a beautiful life by knowing you have a beautiful life, and try to find the beauty of it if you don't see it. People are responsible. You go to work every day, you go to class every day, you do many things every day. You're responsible. You go to the gym. Why are you not just increasing that and becoming a bit responsible with how your awareness is approaching your awareness? How are you looking at things and try to improve and update your own operating system? In other words, put the phones away and go out and see how much you can coordinate and handle things by just looking around. Let your environment communicate to you as you have always communicated to it. Touch the trees, feel the wind. Also go into moments, go into the unknown. The mystics, the yogis had this ability where they were such lovers of the unknown, of the vastness of existence, that they just went anywhere. They knew that regardless of how much they could be touched by any form, regardless of how much a tiger can attack you in the woods, there is a longing in which lovers know that they are to meet. Symbology fades in value as you explore the mind of man through the first man you know, first human being you know, yourself. Allow yourself new ways of communicating things. Don't think personality is the name. Don't think your name is something. In other words, you can come tomorrow and change your name. You can legally do that. So don't think that you're stuck in the same personality. Thoughts, names, ideas, your relationship changes with them once your sensitivity kind of tunes into a more gentler reality. Once you see that you don't need to do too many rash movements and you're very blissful and you walk as if your feet are kissing the earth, you'll see that sight finds itself to be ignorant only to recognize it never could be ignorant. You could never ignore life. For once your eyes open, the eyes of the world has opened as well. You are a master beyond words. You are a novice so that you can master many things. And what that means is that the novice is in a state of not knowing, but the master seems to know some things. And you simply see that you are truly placing how much this world is connected for you. You are placing your most immediate axioms and postulates of how trained you are and how untrained you are. You are choosing based on your attitude and the way you have consumed images, how you're gonna look. If that sense of looking is incapable, if you feel you cannot look at yourself, you are doing a great disservice to yourself. Love yourself immediately. Confront yourself. This is what you're given. This is the physical form. Enjoy the body you're given rather than constantly trying to change it based on temporal images. What remains with you is the satisfaction of your continuation. So very gracefully walk. Realize that some moments in life will ask you to be serious. Some moments in life can never even be serious. You have free will, but you are going through constant change because there's many cycles going on, many cycles of change going on existentially. You do not need to carry identity, you do not need to carry knowledge. It's not a backpack, it's in a sense not always something which you're wearing. It's not something you're covering yourself with. Your ego is kept there because it's relevant and it's necessary for your existential understanding. And what that means is that for the next step of mental evolution, or let's say the mental leap of man, you need to think you're an idea. You need to be trapped in ego. But that is how the ape is evolving. We're not going to suddenly say, oh, the ego's bad and you shouldn't have it. It's a part of life. It's natural. It is how the mind has come to see itself. And who are we to tell even the mind how to see it? Because you see, you have free will, but what if the information you have in your vicinity is very limited? So do you have free will based on very limited information? Is that really freedom? When you know there's a greater unknown? No, so constantly the greatest gift of man to himself is his self-observation of who he is. And if that is an infinitely changing moment, with infinite possibilities, and an abstraction where duality cannot project itself because it's always projected out of the omniscience of the unity, the presence that is within the person and the personality, you will not just get rid of your ignorance. You will see that the moment you remember the clarity you are, you never had to hide your wings. Because similar to the beauty we find in angelic imagery, there are two wings required to fly. And so how you constantly elevate is how you are aware of your wings. And so Rumi, a very profound mystic poet, said that there is darkness and light because you need two wings to fly. And this is a suggestion simply, I am simply summarizing what I grasped from the quote. But is that if you work with a knowing that is pure, there is no need to see the impure, and you cannot see the impure. Once you have really created something that all of you is within it, that your creation is so beautiful that you can see yourself within it, you are giving everything to it. And so, even though I talk about much different types of imagery in regards to our relationship with existence, God created man in his own image. And we always see beauty and we always have love for ourselves. So if God made an externality through its internality, let's say, or through its internal momentum, internal spark, then death is not an option. It's not there, you know. You even fluctuate through many different emotional sensitivities or intensity. What that means is that, let's say many people think the most greatest transition that is coming to their life is, let's say, going from physical form, the body being alive and being composed, to then decomposing. So death. The concept of death is something which I will begin talking about as if it's like a butterfly. You know, it is like the darkness in the cocoon. It is not something to fear, because what did fear do but create a fearful reality? I mean, you can choose to, you know, walk by a smelly restaurant, but don't stay there, don't stay there too long. Your simplicity sets you free, your complexity inspires your greatest action. And you will see that I've had many moments of life where not just my awareness to space and time shift, but it is that suddenly your attention is no longer on that. It's as if you see, for man, the way you're considering space and time right now is an idea. You're not even aware of how you're held here in this conception, in this existence of many forms. And so some people may think that we are completely temporal. But once you expand your focus, you will become aware of your presence in subtler levels of your own coexistence. You will find visions that will show you that your emotions shift, and even shifts in emotions can be a rebirth. One night of a joyful man going into the darkest moments of the soul, these are different intensities, these are resurrections. You don't know how sensitive you can be because you are thinking. The thinker needs to resolve, and you need to see that life is life. And we may choose to build walls of vocabulary. We may choose to create hierarchies and govern. But you will notice, you will know what the moment is here for. And so, when the eyes of the master and novice meet, you were always there where you came. Much blessings and namaste.